The first question for you is concerning the fact that reading your book we have discovered that 10% of the population has to do with a very early traumatism, and they do not know that they have it. And can you tell us how one can understand if this traumatism is in his own life and how one can become free of that?
Yes. Nearly 1 embryos in 10 were not alone in the womb early in pregnancy. Everyone knows that it's about 1 in 50, 1 in 100 births where there are several babies to come out. But the beginning of pregnancy looks quite different. And when one looks very precisely and very early with an ultrasound scan, one can see that there is more eggs that have built a nest and start to develop. And this is about 1 in 10. From the biological point of view, this is a natural process that very often the womb carries only 1 baby. And the human uterus is not really made for carrying twins or triplets because the brain and the head is so big that it's a huge burden for all the muscles and the uterus to carry more than 1 baby. So very often it happens that 1 of the embryos die, or even 2 if it's triplets in the beginning. But this is only the biological point of view. The loss of a twin early in pregnancy is a natural process, but psychologically it is absolutely not just a natural process, but a very deep impact that leaves a lot of traces later on in life. Usually it is totally forgotten later. For the adult, he does not know that he was not alone in the womb, but the body usually does remember. And even very early in pregnancy, when the brain has not really started developing, there is something that is developed, and that's the ears, even before the eyes and the heartbeat starts. And the very first days of the development of the fetus, before the heart starts beating at the 21st, 22nd day of life, even there is already ears to hear whatsoever. There is no brain already to remember, but the body does remember. In fact, this very early experience of pregnancy is remembered by the body even more than by the brain. And doing therapy with adults, we often can accompany people in to remember the body experience of being close to a twin in the womb, which is a very, very smooth and gentle and satisfying experience. It's paradise. To be very early in paradise, to be very early in the womb, close to someone, everything is perfect. One feels the other, one is connected with him, one hears his heartbeat. When the arms start growing, at like 25 days of pregnancy, there's little hands that start, and some days later they are going to move. They make contact with the other. And the twins start even playing through the membrane, and they touch each other, they play with each other, and of all, they feel the presence of the other, and it's just perfect. Everything is there. There's nothing to do, nothing to achieve. It's just perfect harmony together with someone in the womb. This is the first layer of prenatal memory of being together in the womb, usually. But then destiny strikes, and the other one who is going to die is maybe not equipped so well genetically, or maybe he has not found a good place in the uterus to be nourished well enough to sustain all the long pregnancy, or whatsoever reason, but most of the embryos die during the first weeks or months of pregnancy. Yeah, this is the beginning of pregnancy, and it leaves imprints, as I already mentioned. And what is the symptoms? Okay, I start now from childhood. Right after birth, a lot of children cry very, very much without a reason that can be discovered by doctors. Everything is organically okay, but still babies are crying so much and won't even stop crying during day, not during night. And for some of them, even if one knows that there was a twin, nowadays one knows by ultrasound often. If one knows, one can talk to the baby and explain, yes, you were not alone in the womb. And there was another one very, very close to you. And now you missed this other one, and this was such a big shock when the other one died. You couldn't do anything about it. And then, this is our experience with little children, somehow they understand and they start to become more calm, they sleep better. Not in all the cases, but often. So this is what happens for a baby. But then what happens during kindergarten or school time or for the adults? There is often the feeling of something is missing in my life. I don't know what it is. I looked everywhere, inside, outside. I looked in many countries, in several professions, maybe several churches, but something is missing and I cannot find what it is. I feel incomplete. And often I feel lonely without being able to explain what it's about. There is no reason to be lonely. I have fantastic friends, I have a loving family, but I feel lonely. Something's missing. And also it is difficult for those people to go into a happy relationship with a partner. Either it's too close, like at young age in the womb, making the other one too much a twin and wanting to melt with him all the time. But this reduces man-woman relation to brother and sister. This is one way. And even if this man and woman who are together are not happy with their relationship of this kind, the sexual life is not really fiery and satisfying, it's very, very difficult for this kind of surviving twin to split then. They are not happy together, but they cannot split because the other one is so often representing the twin. And then there's this other kind of adults who do not dare to come close to another one, because allowing to be close to someone again would reactivate these old traumata of being abandoned in the womb very early, and this would reactivate the trauma reaction of shock, of deep loss, of even the feeling of having to die. This is why this other kind of surviving twins do not want to risk to become too close. They prefer relationships with minimum 600 kilometers different distance, not meeting each other more than once every other weekend or something like this. This is a typical pattern also for this kind of twins. And also another symptom for the adults is not daring to be really successful in life. Not daring to have a good job and to earn enough money that feels really okay for the job that you're doing. And also not daring to take enough space because often the unconscious feeling of having lost a twin is accompanied by a feeling of guilt. Biologically it is very rarely so, but psychologically it's very often felt like I am guilty of having killed the other one. I'm guilty of having killed my brother, my sister, because I took too much space, too much nourishment in the womb. And this feeling of guilty is so often the source of being very destructive in life, not daring to live life fully. Yeah, this is one of the other many symptoms, and maybe I want to mention one more symptom, and that is often a lot of fears and kind of panic attacks. They are often triggered by relationship separation, when one partner goes or falls in love with another one. Then for the abandoned solitary twin, it feels like having to die. And very often this is accompanied by big emotional releases like trembling, like pain, like really panic of having to die. It's very strong feelings. And this kind of feeling can also be related to the vanishing twin, the twin that had died. Some people who are afraid of elevators or tunnels are also being put into the prenatal situation of being close to the other one and then remembering how terrible it was when the other one died, and the survivor was absolutely helpless to do anything. He couldn't do anything about it. The beloved person, very close, just died without any chance of rescuing the other one. Yes, and a lot of surviving twins have the feeling of wanting to rescue everyone, of the friends, half of the world, but this is a heavy burden. This is not possible. But wanting to rescue everyone. So this can also be a symptom of wanting to help the little twin when they were both in the womb. Yes, and now is the question of what do we do with all this? What is the therapy? What do we do in the workshops? Maybe I can explain this.
Just before this, would you like to tell us how did you discover this?
Okay.
How did you discover this syndrome?
Mm-hmm. For many years I was already working as a psychotherapist and doing body works and psychodrama and gestalt therapy. And later on I came across family constellation, which was fantastic for giving answers in areas where I could not find answers with the other methods. And then one day, about 15 years ago, in a family constellation, I had a woman, age 28 at that time. She said everything she does goes wrong. Her relationship life is not successful, and her professional life is always going wrong. No matter what she does, what she begins, there is always failure inside, built in. Like she tried many jobs and developed allergies or body symptoms that she could not go on with her work. And what we did then in the constellation was we had set up one representative for her and one for the symptoms of failure, for the reasons of all the failures in many areas. And these two representatives behaved absolutely surprisingly. This was the representative of the woman, and this was the representative, a male representative, for the cause of all her failures. And I absolutely did not expect how this person behaved. He came close, the woman came close, he get more into distance. Women did the same. He turned aside, the women did the same. Turned to the other side, came close again, and there was much energy between those two. There was like strong breathing, and almost as if they were fighting. And then again, back and forth, like this, all around the room, like this, always like a mirror, symmetrically. And then I said to the woman next to me, the real person, I have never seen this in a constellation, but this looks so much symmetrically, the way they behave, this looks like twins to me. Don't understand this. And the woman said, oh yes, now I understand. I asked her, please, what do you understand? Now I understand why at the moment when the doctors operated on my ovaries and they took them out, I was 17. She was very young, this lady, at that time. And in the ovaries they found teeth and hairs and other tissues that usually do not grow in ovaries. And then she said, oh, this must have been my twin. And then it was clear to me, yes, this kind of reaction of this representative was the twin and represented the moment when they were very close to each other. And this young woman was still very much connected to this person. And this was the first time it happened to me in a family constellation. And then just some weeks later, again this appeared, and then again and again, always with different perspectives and dynamics, but also very similar. And we found out that the twins, even if they were so small, feel so connected to the other one. Not only adult twins feel very connected, but even as an embryo, as a fetus, they are so close to each other. And this leaves traces if the other one dies. The research on adult twins is manifold, and there are so many cases described how close adult twins are and how much one twin suffers if the other one dies. This is a wound that will never heal. This is how it feels for adult twins very often. And in my work, that just followed the phenomenons. I did not have any idea of this must be twin or so. I just followed all the phenomenons that I discovered in the family constellation. And in this work I found that even very little twins feel so connected to each other. And if the other one dies, it leaves the same traces.
So the old saying that goes, no brain, no pain, it's probably not correct for the little twins in the uterus, isn't it?
Definitely not, because the body remembers even before there is a brain that is developed. This seems not logical, and it seems not scientific, but if we look at the people who have near-death experiences, where the brain is switched off for a while and there is no more brain to record the phenomena, there are no more eyes to see because they are enclosed, totally detached. The people can describe the clothing of the people who were at the place where the accident took place, for example. So there is even out of body something that sees, even if there is no eyes to see. This is the near-death experience. And the embryons must have similar kind of recording these experiences, because we find in adults a lot of symptoms that are very closely related to the experience of the little fetus that loses the brother or the sister.
Thank you very much. So, would you like to tell us a little bit about the therapy?
Yes. The therapy is to very smoothly and gently open up the layers of the prenatal memory and to make the body remember of what the little embryo or fetus had felt at the moment when the other died. But this happens very, very slowly and gently, because too much at the time would be a too big shock. First of all, we look at the moment of conception and of finding a place in the uterus, and of finding, oh wow, I'm not alone, there is someone else. There is a heart beating just like mine, same rhythm, so different from the mother's heart. And then discovering how good it is to be close to the other one, to feel the harmony, the paradise that it usually is to be there with another one, and first to really enjoy all this early life experience, and then slowly also touching the layer that is so painful and usually very well protected in adults, but then gently touching this layer of loss and integrating the moments of shock, of pain, of loneliness, of despair, of everything that comes up with it, and reconnecting the adult with the abandoned little fetus that suffered so much, and making the adult integrate the little fetus that is totally in despair or in loneliness or whatsoever. And also inviting the adult to an inner dialogue with the abandoned twin or fetus, which can change a lot in life of the adult in direction of professional success, and in relationship life of not having to search the twin in the other all the time. Sometimes it's okay, but too much melting is destructive, or too little close contact is destructive as well. So finding a good balance, this can be the consequence of a healing path.
So we thank you very much for this interview, Alfred, and we wish you all the best, because we know that you are going to start teaching in Italy very soon, and we hope you can form new therapists in this kind of, maybe we can call it a bereavement therapy also, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah? Very early bereavement, because it has to do with a dying person who even was dying before we were capable to be born. So it's a very early bereavement treatment that you are going to propose.
Yes, and it is not only an early bereavement treatment, it can also be for people who lost the twin later in pregnancy or during birth or even afterwards, because the symptoms are always the same. Of course, someone who loses the twin during birth suffers usually even more and is even more protected from all these feelings. But generally I can say the symptoms are the same. This is also the experience in our work, because we have people who come to us who lost the twin in all stages, even later as adult. So we know everything from much smaller than this size here up to adult age, and the symptoms are so much the same that this work can be done for all of them.
Thank you very much, and good luck.
Thank you.